Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Medium by Design. And here's another installment of the Jesus Chronicles, another writing that I did. And in this one, I was asking for some clear guidance and counsel for my current life experience and some things I have to look forward to for the rest of this particular year and into next year. So this is what Jesus had to say. First and foremost, you realize I am always with you. While you were walking the other day, I did mention that I wanted to speak with you, but you were not able to focus at the time. Oh, okay, little side story. So I got a link to someone to look at online, and Jesus says that was merely a reminder to you it was time for us to have a chat. So now that I have your undivided attention, we can have our moment. You know that I am fulfilling the promise I made to you and many others so long ago. Our clan agreed to stay together, work together, and bring in the new age for all humanity to enjoy at the appropriate time. We were merely waiting for that divine window to present itself and staging, planning, and preparing to execute each stage of the plan throughout the world since the time we were all embodied on earth together. Although this plan is very old and we have made adjustments to fit this timeline, nevertheless, it is still relevant and is playing out just as planned. As far as these groups that are trying to wreak havoc keep chaos going, they are simply testing the waters to see how far they can go. You see, if humanity would get on board and make the collective decision that enough is enough, all of this would be over much sooner than later. However, with so many still on the fence, and even some of the older souls changing their minds and preparing to leave, there remains a lag in the swiftness of completing this phase. Also, as I have said before, nothing can be rushed or pushed too far. Remember, the nervous system of those remaining on the planet still needs to continue to be reworked, rewired, rewritten, so that the physical body can carry these new frequencies easily and enjoy the rest of this physical incarnation. Remember, the entire reason for this evolutionary step is to move out of suffering and survival mode. Let's read that again. Remember, the entire reason for this evolutionary step is to move out of suffering and survival mode. There is no reason for any soul living on this planet to ever have to worry or fear for their survival. This is the major shift that we are all waiting to happen and at least get to the 100th monkey. There truly is a tipping point where, once it is reached, the floodgates open and all falls quickly into place. This is the result you will see at the end of this COVID experience. There are those that would like to see a greater wave, bigger wave, more death, more chaos, more tragedy, you name it. However, there are also those that are complete, finished, living outside of the chaos circle and will have nothing more to do with it and be just fine. This is how this is going to play out. You mentioned in one of your videos that those that are predicting the next wave will most likely witness and be part of the next wave, most likely in their own state or town, simply because they expect it. Then there are those that will not experience one disruption. How can this be logically explained? Who will bring the clear answer to why this is so? From my standpoint, humans can behave quite funny when they cannot realize how powerful they are. Even if you lived many years where you thought you weren't a part of any manifestation. How silly! You know all too well that the energy you carry goes forth ahead of you to pave the way, open the doors, and create the opportunities long before you even arrive. It is all in your soul plan. You also were quite right the other day when you spoke of breaking those soul contracts and karmic ties. This is something I would personally like people to take to heart. If more people consciously cleared their karmic relationships, this world would reach a much higher level of peace and harmony in daily life. What I would like you to fully understand and integrate at this time is the role each soul is playing to fulfill its role without having judgment about it. Whether you agree or not, are part of that soul's life, has no bearing on how that soul will proceed. You did not have anything to do with, nor are responsible for your old friend's response. Now, that's another story that I mentioned on my walking series, so I won't get into that now. You only need to focus on the path you are on with your team, which, as you know, has grown significantly in recent years, simply because you were ready and asked. I was only the catalyst for a deeper level of healing to help you clear the old and prepare to receive more. I will continue whenever you need assistance as the new waves of light energy continue throughout the rest of this earthly life. Just remember to allow time for any healing that needs to happen. Don't judge how slow you believe your life has become. Time is almost irrelevant. There was a lot in that paragraph, and I hope you can receive that. We may have to have a discussion if there are questions about this. Let's look at some things coming down the road that will continue to lift up your spirit and have you more and more fully engaged in your life of co-creating, as you would put it. First, I recently got involved in a personal project, and he's talking about that, but I haven't revealed it yet, so I don't want to specifically tell you what the project is. So let me just change this a little bit to leave out that specific. This current project could prove to open more avenues of fun, meeting new people, using parts of your brain that have been dormant for far too long. Remember when I told you that during the last crash, especially the year 2009, you had done serious damage to your nervous system that has taken all of this time to repair while you are receiving the new frequency codes. This is a tall order and explains why you feel you are looking much older. You have not reached the refresh period yet when your body will project a much younger persona. The changes in diet, the continued rest, and not taxing yourself will all pay off. Walking is also helping you in ways you have not noticed yet. Don't fret. There is much more good to come for you and many others in your clan. You will all be sharing some great stories in a few short years, and we continue to clean up humanity's mess. So there's a lot to this one. And as I said, this is all a new level of sharing for me. I don't share everything yet. It's coming out in stages. But as you can see, Jesus talks about healing the nervous system, resting. That's a very repeated message from him and others. And he also talks about when he walked the earth and many souls that followed him and walked with him, and that many of these souls are here again today. And that is very, very true. So I don't, I'm not trying to change your beliefs in any way, but I will tell you, I remember the Jesus lifetime. I remember being friends with this man. I remember some of the amazing talks we had and being friends with Mary Magdalene. I remember a lot. And even though I feel like I remember a lot, I'm sure it's really only this much of my soul's memory. But it's enough to keep me committed to doing this work now. Because remember, there's not much behind me doing this. This is something I just do. This is part of who I am, and I just have to do it. I'm called to do it. So this is a part of my life, and I just keep prodding ahead, which is so interesting for an American, because most Americans don't do much for many years. This is 30 years where there's not much payback, but your soul, and talking about that for a moment, if your soul, your I am presence, is doing the guiding, then you just know when you're supposed to do something. And how that manifests or where that goes is almost irrelevant, because you just have to do what you do. So, and we hope it all goes somewhere and we get supported to do what we do. But in the meantime, we just continue on. And that's a lot about what this year is about. It's about continuing on through this period that we're in, regardless of what we're receiving or not receiving. We just have to stick with it and keep going. We have to get through this. And then we have to see how we look when we get out of the other side. Now, you see how he talked about the physical body, which was very funny and interesting. Where was that part? Well, it was just a funny part. I can't seem, when you want to go back and find it, of course, it's going to take me time, and I don't want to waste your time. But it is funny how he talked about when we're going through these tremendous personal shifts, we can feel weary and we could look like we're aging, but he's promising me that there's going to be a rejuvenation period and I'm going to come back looking younger. So you can quote him on that from this message, and let's see how that plays out. And I laugh at this stuff because, let's face it, we all want to look good, right? We want to look young. And the one thing we want is our body to hold up. Isn't that true? We just want our body to hold up through this incarnation and be healthy and vibrant, no matter what our age, right? I think that we can agree. I hope we can agree on that. So if you found anything useful here, if this was a benefit to you in any way, there are some simple ways you can be supportive. You can press the like button. You can subscribe and follow. And then again, you can always donate if you feel like it, if you're moved. I would be greatly appreciate it. As you know, this is a year that many of us have pulled back. And yes, I know everybody's jumping onto Zoom and continuing to do things. But to be really honest with you, the inspiration to step out in 2020 was very, very small. I really had to take a step back. And I was really loving the groups. Those of you that have come to my groups the last 3 years, you know how much I love doing that stuff. But again, as Jesus spoke, your soul's energy goes ahead of you to open the doors, to create the opportunities. So I'm an Aries man, right? Now, Aries wants to run in head first and not do too much caution, but thank God my soul is old enough that I've learned, slow down and let the energies, let them do the work ahead of me so that the doors open and there's a flow and it's graceful and it's beautiful and love is abounding with all the things that I do. And that in itself was a big transition and a big shift, to allow energy to go first before jumping into things. And I think this year is a great experiment in that for many of us. Now, don't get me wrong. I know many of you are, there are frontline workers. There are people that have to get up and get out and run into the world because that's your calling at this time. So there's no judgment here. Everybody is where they are and where they need to be, right? But even that life experience, you still have to take breaks from that, as we've seen in many frontline workers that have gotten burnout and gotten really emotionally drained from their witnessing what they're witnessing. So even whether we have been lucky enough, like I am, to take a step back, or if you're still extremely busy, you still have to allow that time, as Jesus is telling us, to rejuvenate, to rest, to have silence and quiet and alone time. Many things in the physical body can be affected if we continue to race forward. And I truly, truly believe that a major part of this huge transition that has many, many layers that I can't go into here, but there are many, many layers of truth to this period and transition we're going through. And if you take nothing else from this video, just know that there are many layers that you may not see and you may not know, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes of everything that we're witnessing. So there is a divine purpose to this transition and this so-called virus period, that Spirit is using to try and benefit us in the most way possible, the largest way possible. Now, this does not take away from the souls that have left and will continue to leave. Please don't hear me in that way. I have gotten many messages about the souls that were leaving. And remember, in a previous video, I said I lost 2 family members this year, one a few months ago and one just a couple, not even 2 weeks ago. So, I haven't been immune to witnessing some experiences in the family and in loved ones that are extremely painful. So, and you know I cry a lot. So I want to not do that on a video, but just to say that even those experiences have a divine aspect. And the current passing, I got so much information on the passing of this person and how another family member could rise up after this and really get life on a grand track. The opportunity is there. However, we have to get through the emotion. So for those that, grief, I carried so much grief into this lifetime. And a lot of my grief came from the Jesus lifetime. And I did do this in a group, and I can share this with you now because I'm very comfortable, for the most part, talking about this. With all the memories I have of the Jesus lifetime, or the Jesus timeline. One theme that was one of the hardest to leave that timeline with was the senseless loss of friends and comrades and just amazing souls that came together to follow this great teacher and to learn what God had in store for us, and then to be literally banished from the earth through a huge, huge period of suffering, not unlike the Holocaust period, by the way. And I did do this in a group, and I have like I said, I have no problem sharing it with you. Maybe the video of that group will come out, if we can chop it into valuable pieces. But I will tell you, I've spoken about this before. There is a parallel between the Jesus lifetime, the Holocaust, and this lifetime. So for those that believe in past, present, and future happening simultaneously, that energy is absolutely happening simultaneously. So if you can get in touch with your soul's wisdom as I'm speaking these words, you can confirm that for yourself, that there are parallels of different sides and factions of souls that are here continuing this repetitive experience. And as you saw in this writing, Jesus asks us to finish our karmic relationships, and then that would change the earth and our daily life experience practically overnight. So again, if you can walk away from this video knowing that you are complete with some of the areas of life that you have suffered and that are very karmic. And when I say karmic, it's soul baggage. It's things that you keep repeating with certain souls over and over and over. And it is this really sickening loop of repetitive action that it's like a hamster wheel, But once you start to get really conscious in your relationships in your daily life, you can tell people who are souls that you know from another time. You can tell ones that were difficult challenges for you from another timeline, and you can make conscious choices. That's what this whole awakening is really about. It's about making more conscious choices. And the more you do that, and the more you shed the old energy and the old relationships and the karmic ties, and using discernment, not even getting into a situation, realizing, no, I don't even need to go there anymore, that will benefit your life in the grandest way, because you are consciously deciding, yes, I'm going here, no, I'm going there. I'm not going there. It's a yes, no, highest good, lower energy, better choices, not so good choices. And you become conscious of those choices instead of just wandering around, as if you have no direction at all, which couldn't be further from the truth. So as we continue to move through this humanity's transition, and you keep waking up to the wisdom of your soul and the connections you have on the other side, use that energy, use those connections to go in the highest and best direction. And remember, the more highest and best you do, the more others will do, because it literally is great energy emoting from you that others can pick up on. And it's like that old commercial, I don't know if it was Revlon or some hair color, and so on and so on and so on. And that commercial is still on YouTube. You can look it up. It's very funny. But it really is a good way to show how to change consciousness and how to change the world. The more you wake up, the more you bring light through your body, the more you share the light, the more others see the light, they get inspired, and so on and so on and so on. So on that note, I just want to thank you for watching. I hope you received something great. I hope your life is moving up in grander and greater ways, and keep going. You know, even through these tough experiences, these tough moments, and the grieving that's happening. You know, grief is not just from death. Grief is, you can have grief from any part of your life that has ceased to exist. And in this period that we're going through, there are many parts of life that are ceasing to exist because it's just not the time for those things anymore. So, you know, it's grief. It's real. Keep breathing through it. Try to get through it the best you can. And if you can, try to find one good thing for that day, even if it's a simple cup of tea, nice and quiet, and just take a moment. Believe me, there's a lot that happens in those silent moments, and I can attest to it. Believe me, I know. So anyway, blessings to you all, and thanks again for watching The Medium by Design.